Hello and welcome to the Work for Change podcast. My name is Jean, spelled like Jean.
And my name is John with a silent H. Welcome to episode number 32. A very special episode. Well, for me. Probably not for you. But
Well, this episode has had a lot of build-up, I think.
It has.
A lot of tension, a lot of build-up. But before we get into the episode, I just want to say thank you to every single person who got a Work for Change t-shirt.
Yeah.
You guys
Wow.
blew it away.
Yeah.
Again, we are sold out of every size except small on the new design. And then we have just barely a little on the original, if any. Actually, we haven't had an update in
No,
a couple
yeah,
days.
I've been looking at it, and there's still, I think, larges and down. So if you want to get the original shirt, there's still large, medium, small on those.
But you guys are starting, like at the time of this recording, you guys are finally starting to get them in.
Yeah.
Or you're getting them in now and posting about them. So thank you. Keep on posting. If you got a shirt, be sure to post hashtag Work for Change podcast. Make sure you tag me at Jean Glaude. Make sure you tag him at Obese to Beast.
Also, I wanted to answer a question. Someone asked, like, why are we making the shirts? And it's definitely not because we're trying to become millionaires from shirt sales. But for us, I think one of the core reason is it's just cool for us to see you guys wearing it.
Yeah.
For like a very basic answer, that's why. Because we're not making tons of money doing it. And then on top of that, obviously we're making a little bit, and that will help us, buy more microphones, nicer stuff. Hopefully, eventually, in the future, we'll be able to like travel to people and interview people like that. So it just gives us. It's not like we literally have made $0 like in our bank accounts from the shirts.
Yeah.
It's just to hopefully, one, we've just made more shirts with that money, and two, to hopefully make the podcast better. That's literally what it is.
Yeah,
So.
and there's something about wearing something that you create. Like, it's cool. And wearing something that you enjoy. Like, it's just cool. So if you guys are like, I can't believe they're making shirts. Well, you know what? We didn't make them for you.
Mm-hmm.
We did for everyone else who bought them, okay?
Yeah,
Because other
exactly.
people are buying them.
Yeah,
so.
and people ask for them, and we're still figuring out how many we should make and what sizes. So, it'll be a journey, and we appreciate you guys coming along with us.
But if you guys are enjoying the podcast and you guys are buying shirts, thank you. But feel free to...
Only if you're buying shirts. Thank you.
But... if you don't want to buy a shirt, that's fine. But be sure to leave a review on iTunes, leave a comment on YouTube, all the fun stuff that we ask. But enough of that. We've been building tension. You've been working. You've been training. You've been going for a very specific goal that happened.
Yep.
Yesterday.
It was about
goodness.
almost exactly, a little bit over 24 hours ago.
So let's talk about it.
So I completed my marathon that I've been talking about relentlessly.
You've made podcast episodes about it. You've made YouTube videos about it.
Well, it's a big deal for me.
Instagram posts about it.
Absolutely. Twitter posts.
Yeah.
I even posted on the running Reddit.
Yeah, the amount of times I've heard about your overpronated foot.
Yeah, I know.
Has been I hear it more than most, because I'm in an office with you all the time. But let's go through how was this experience and everything.
So it was good. So like I said, a little bit over 24 hours post marathon now, and I will say, just like from the marathon, how I feel, I thought it was gonna be so much worse. I feel pretty good today. Like, there's nothing major. I'm not like limping around or anything like that. I'm able to move around pretty normally, so that's good.
Much to the opposite of what a lot of people said you would be like.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. A lot of people thought I was gonna be absolutely wrecked, and I'm not. So that's good. I'm excited about that. It's not like I feel like I pushed myself, and we'll get into that, but luckily my body was able to recover pretty quickly, or just it didn't get broken down as much as I thought.
Yeah.
But I kind of wanted to talk about, like, with the marathon, maybe, so in my head I'm thinking, okay, maybe someone is listening to this podcast right now. It's the first episode. They have no idea why I'm talking about this marathon, why it's such a big deal to me. So I thought it would be kind of cool to start from the very beginning of my fitness journey. We're going to skip a lot of things. I want to keep it related to the running, right? But start from the beginning and explain through the marathon, through each mile maybe, how it was feeling and how I'm feeling now, which I kind of already said. But So from the start, if you follow me, you know this. At 20 years old, I was 360 pounds. And when you say that, it's hard to like really understand what that means. But for me, at least, what 360 pounds meant, and I honestly was probably a little bit heavier than that, but I don't know exactly. But what that meant was I couldn't run. Like, there was no...
What do you think would happen if you ran at 360 pounds?
I mean,
you would just be really uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's super painful. It was it was really painful. And like, because I remember in high school, I would run a little bit. We'd play like football or whatever, and I would run a little bit, but Like I could run for maybe about 20 seconds and that was it. And so like it was lit, and it was weird because it was either sprint for 20 seconds or jog. Like it didn't matter. Like 20 seconds was all I had pretty much.
Yeah.
But yeah,
so a sprint was a jog.
Pretty much.
The same
yeah.
thing.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I'm sure there, like in my head at the time, there was perceived effort was different.
Yeah.
But if you were to look at it from a bird's eye view, it didn't look that different.
Yeah.
But once I was at my heaviest at 360 pounds, I mean, there was no running. I never even tried. Like, I can't even imagine. You know, the last time I tried running was when I was in high school, which I graduated when I was 17, you know? So even in high school, like, I could not run so we had, you know, a regular track, right? 400 meters around. I could not run that at all. Like, there was no matter how fast or slow I went, I could not get around that one time without stopping or walking. So for me, running has always been like this thing I was like, I don't want to say afraid of, but it seemed like this goal that seemed really far away. And so, you know, I lost all my weight and stuff, and through my weight loss, I didn't do any running. I did like bodybuilding style workouts with like stair climber, elliptical style cardio. You know, I barely ever ran. But then I started doing a little bit of running and dabbling in it when I got into CrossFit, right? Because you do 400-meter run warm up. Some of the workouts have, you know, maybe up most of the time. The longest distance you're running in CrossFit is maybe a mile in a workout. Maybe doing that a couple times, right? Like not many workouts have longer than a mile, except for maybe like 333 if you're doing that.
Yeah.
So that got me comfortable with running. Like I was like, oh, I can actually run, and it's not super uncomfortable because, like, again, before this, very, very overweight. So running was very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And then when I lost the weight, I still deal with loose skin, still have loose skin, and so it was uncomfortable, right? So once I started doing CrossFit, that's when I looked into compression clothing, and that's when I was able to actually run and not be completely uncomfortable
Because
the loose skin would move around.
Well, like the first CrossFit gym we did, every day, no matter what, warm up started with a 400 meter run.
Yeah.
And so your first time you ever went to class, you're like, oh,
this is not going to work. It was very uncomfortable. And then there was like double unders, which I was doing single unders, but double unders are the worst. Like if I don't have a compression shirt on, those are not fun.
Yeah.
Those and like burpees. Least favorite thing to do without a compression shirt on. So I got into that, and then I remember the first time I ran with that on, I was like, oh my gosh, I actually was like, this is awesome. Like I can actually run without being in pain or feeling like very weird or like.
And you started CrossFit in August, a month after me, and so that's hot.
Yeah, it was very hot.
But the trade-off for you,
I think I've gotten so used to it that I mean, I'm sure if I was able to do workouts without compression stuff, it'd be like, oh wow, this feels so good. But like for me, I don't feel like it overheats me to a point where it's like really unbearable. You know, I mean, I ran a whole freaking marathon with one on, and it wasn't an issue really.
Yeah.
So that's when I first started doing any type of running. But let's fast forward about 2.5 years. I've been doing CrossFit now, and for me, a marathon, for some reason, has always been in the back of my head as like something that would be really cool to accomplish. Now, that doesn't mean I want to do one. Like it was never like, oh, I really have this goal to like complete a marathon. It was just when people would ask, like, do you have any other goals that maybe you think would be cool to do? I'd be like, yeah, it'd be kind of cool to run a marathon, but it wasn't like, I really want to do that. Kind of like the same as like, for me, it'd be cool to go skydiving, but at the same time, I don't want to go skydiving.
Yeah, you're not like actively seeking out
I don't really want to. I mean, honestly, even if someone asked me, I'd be like, I don't know about that. And that's how it was with marathons. It's like, oh, you want to do it? Like, you could do it here, this one, that one. I'd be like, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
So it was like, it'd be cool to accomplish. It's like anything, right? Like, I'm sure there's a lot of people that say, like, oh, an Ironman would be cool to accomplish.
Yeah.
Do you want to really train for that? No, not really. That's how it was for me.
I might have a wildly inappropriate question for you.
Okay, let's do it.
If you were to go skydiving, would you wear compression?
Yes. That would, I'd be, well, maybe I shouldn't, because then I can like glide like those squirrels, the flying squirrels, just like me.
But yeah, we've never actually seen someone do as good as you. You were just like flying through the air.
Yeah, I have a secret.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, I definitely would. Where was I at?
You were talking about how in the back of your mind it was always something you wanted to do if someone asked you, but
yeah. So then, like, I mean, through like the CrossFit, the most I had ever ran was a 5K. And like that was like, I remember one day I did it, and I had no plans on doing it. and it was a horrible, like, because if you don't run super long distances, for me, it was always, whenever I would run, I was trying to run faster every time. That doesn't work when you're trying to train for a marathon. Like, you can't do it like that.
Yeah.
So like every time I would run a mile or every time I would run a 5K, in my head I'm like, I need to get faster every time I run this.
Yeah.
But if you're doing that a lot, it's just not going to happen. It's like with bodybuilding, right? Like if you're doing chest press every day or like, 3 times a week, not every day you're going to hit a PR. It just doesn't work like that. But in my head, because I didn't run that much, every time I would run a mile, say it was like every month, it's like I need to be faster, else like, I'm messing up.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very CrossFit mindset too. Like, I think Josh Bridges has a saying, like, you can always run faster. Like, in the workout, you can always run faster.
Yeah.
And so it's a very, mindset of, like, just go faster.
Yeah.
And then it can end up biting you in the butt.
Yeah, and so like that's why I think like through that, like running the 5K, and like I literally ran a 5K and it took me like 30 minutes and I felt terrible. This was a while ago, like over a year ago. And so like that always like stuck with me. I was like, I don't like, that was horrible. Like that did not feel good. So the thought of actually doing a marathon then was like absolutely.
And you also
not.
you ran with people who run, right?
Yeah, kind of. A little bit, yeah. I mean, they don't run.
That was before that CrossFit workout that one day?
Yeah.
And then
I just didn't do anything else. I was like, yeah, that's all I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And now it's cool because I look back, like 3 miles now is like pretty much nothing. Like it's like, that's not much for me. For me, not for you, John.
I know that feeling exactly.
Yeah.
I can relate to that 100%.
You're like literally right where I was before I decided to do the marathon training.
I could I could probably do a marathon. I have zero desire.
Yeah.
That's kind of like, if I was telling Sharissa while you were doing the marathon, I was like, if I were to do a marathon, it would be for the sole purpose of making a YouTube video that said I did a marathon without training.
Yeah.
And just to see what happens.
If you do that, people freaking get so mad. Like you saw how mad people got at me for like weeks. Training for 2 months, right? There was a guy, his name's Scott Kramer. He has a video on YouTube where it's that video, right? I ran a marathon without training. The video's fun. Like it took him like 6 something hours or something like that. He walked a lot of it. He literally has disabled the comments. So I don't even know what the comments are. The comments are disabled. And in like the description, he's like, I can't believe how mad people are about this, like lighten up or something like that. And the rest of his videos are like positive. It's not like he gets a lot of hate. Yeah. So people got, but at the same time, I understand it now with the training that I did and with how the marathon went, which we'll get into, why people feel that way. But I think it's like with anything, when people are very into something, they're like, I guess you could say protective of it. Like, I think if I saw somebody, and I'm sure you would agree, like I did the CrossFit Open with zero training, and then say they got injured, it'd be like, well, you're making CrossFit look bad. Yeah. So I get it, but yeah, that's probably what
would literally be the only reason I would ever do it is just for that video.
I disagree. I think there will be a point in your life where you I'm not saying a marathon, but something that challenges you like that because of how much you hate running.
Maybe.
Like I could see it happening. Yeah. Okay, so let's get back into like why I decided to finally run the marathon. So for me, I do like a lot of the Q&As on Instagram and stuff, and then say like people would just ask me a question, and then I would just have people ask me questions. And one of the questions that would come up was always, is there anything in your life that you want to accomplish, blah, 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 something along those lines. And for me, I would say marathon quite frequently. Again, not having any intentions of doing one. But then like I was just at a spot where I think it's like with anything, like not that I was bored of CrossFit, but I just wanted a new challenge. Yeah. And then somebody said that question, I answered with marathon, and then I started thinking about it more. And then I talked to my girlfriend Sharissa, and I was like, I think it'd be cool to do a marathon, and she's like, well, do it. And then we were like talking more, and I kind of made a joke. I was like, okay, I'll run 10 miles this week if you get me shoes. Like just as a joke. And she was like, okay, I'll do it. And I was like, really? I was like, yep. And I was like, okay. So we went and we got shoes and stuff. And then I was like, okay, I have to run 10 miles this week. And then from there, once I started running, I started looking up a bunch of running videos, all that stuff. And that's just how I get. I get very inspired. Yeah. And I get very just like into things. Yeah. And so I started getting really into the running. And then I was like, I think I can actually do it. Like seeing other people do things, I was watching marathon videos, all that stuff. It just inspires you, right? Yeah. And so I was like, I think I'm going to do this. So then I announced it. I'm doing a marathon. Well, before that though, I looked up marathons, and the one that I found was the one that I did yesterday, right? So it was 8 weeks away from when I found it, and that is not enough time.
Yeah, but you were just like...
But I didn't know. Yeah.
Oh, well, it looks like I'm doing that
yeah,
one.
well, yeah. Because like anything else, because I wasn't like, I wanted to do it, but I'm not trying to sit there and, you know, fly somewhere. I just, cause, you know, like for me, I'm not the biggest fan of traveling anyway. So it's like the thought of traveling somewhere I don't know and running a marathon by myself. Like I just, I don't know about that. So I was like, okay, this marathon is here in San Diego. I could drive to the start line. You know, my friends and family will be there. It just felt like the best option for me at the time.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'll do those. And anything else in San Diego, there wasn't really anything close to that. It was like either that or like wait 5 months. And I was like, I don't want to wait that long.
Yeah, I don't want to do a real training cycle.
Yeah, well, I didn't realize I wasn't doing a real one until I like once I made the announcement, and then I started looking up stuff, and I was like, oh yeah, this isn't enough. But I was already super. I mean, and I'm impatient too.
Yeah.
So I was like excited to get to it. Like I wanted to do it.
If 5 months passed, you might not like running anymore.
I know, who knows, right? Like I don't know. Yeah, that's very possible. So then I was like, okay, I'm doing this marathon. So I decided to announce it and stuff, and like a lot of people were excited, but again, there was a good amount of blowback. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a lot of blowback, because a lot of people maybe thought that I would run for a little bit, get injured, not do the marathon. There you go. But you know, I dealt with a couple, like, I wouldn't say injuries, but minor setbacks that made it so I couldn't run. Like, so let's go to the training now, right? So for the training, you know, I had about 7.5 weeks, I guess you could say, of training for it. And before this training, the longest I had ever ran was the 5K, or maybe I did it.
You did 333.
Yeah, I did 333. That's 5K.
5K. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a 3 mile run, so it's basically a 5K.
About, I think a 5K is like 3.1.
It's 3.1, yeah.
So, okay.
But the run that we have here is a little bit longer anyways, so it ends up being a 5K. But I think I actually I might have ended up running 6 miles, because I think, the first day I found David Goggins, who's like a ultra marathoner. I was like, I'm going to run really far. That was too much. I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
That was like, I had blisters on my feet the next day. I didn't have proper running shoes. I didn't have correct socks. So it's just crazy when, like, if you don't have the right stuff, man, running can jack you up fast. Because 6 miles now is like, it's not a short run, but it's not a long run by any means.
Yeah.
So I got wrecked. But so I think 6 miles was actually the longest distance. But that was like one time, and I was destroyed by it for like a week. But then I decided to start training. I ran, that 10 miles in the first week. And then I hit up somebody on my Instagram, like, hey, I help people run marathons. I can like give you a short training plan. They're like, obviously this is not ideal, and you should have more time, but like I'm willing to help if you want it. And I was like, sure, because I had no idea what training for a marathon was. Like I had no idea. So that was really nice, because it showed me that, for most marathon training plans, or at least the one I was doing, it was like, short to medium runs sprinkled throughout the week, and then a long run on the weekend. I think if I had more times, I might have done more tempo stuff and like kind of switched the workouts around. But for me, it was like just getting miles in, because I had such a short time to get ready for the marathon. People train like years. Granted, they're coming from zero, maybe, but again, I was definitely overconfident, and it showed on the marathon day. So I started training, and after like the first week of training, I ended up we went to, where was it? Utah. And I really think that we flew, and my feet swelled in the shoes I was wearing, and I got bruised. I got a bruise on my foot, and I couldn't run for like a week from then. So that's when I started doing a lot of cross training. So I was doing a ton of biking, ton of rowing, like literally spending 2 hours or 2.5 hours on a bike or a rower. I realized that the bike is the better option for me, because the rower, like, no matter how good your form is, I think if you're rowing for that long, your lower back just gets lit up. Yeah. Like, so I started doing a lot more biking than rowing. But yeah, so those little tiny things kind of happened sprinkled throughout the training. It was like maybe 2 or 3 other times after that I like couldn't run it was usually only about like 2 days. But when you have such a short amount of time, that's super stressful. So I had to learn to just, if my foot wasn't feeling great, just take the day off. Yeah. Like, it's not worth running and then being like, oh, now I have to take another week off or something. So yeah, the training was.
How was your mindset during needing to take the time off?
At first, it was...
Were you stressing out?
Yeah, at first, it was really, really tough. Like, the first time that it happened, when we went to Utah, that was really hard. Because I was, like, freaked out. I thought it was a lot worse than it was, too.
I mean, you were living it up. You were getting ice packs delivered to you. Yeah. You were hanging out on the couch all day.
Yeah, that sucked, because we were in Utah, and then I couldn't even do anything. Yeah. Like, that... Yeah, that was... So then I went straight to, like, I thought I, like, had a stress fracture, which they're like, if you get one of those, you're you're screwed pretty much. Like you can't run for months on end.
Yeah.
And so luckily
in the back of your mind, you have, so it's not like you're just deciding to run a marathon and no one's worse for wear, but in the back of your mind, you told 500,000 people that you're running a marathon. So it starts to like, you don't want to prove all the haters.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that goes into why I really do think that, you know, the channels that I have, the content that I create, like it all really does help me stay motivated.
Yeah.
I think I'm a very motivated person, but it helps me. It like is like an extra, I guess you could say push, but it's like, I know I don't ever really think, oh, I need to run this for the people watching. Like that's never a thought that's in my head, but it's like, I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, I definitely do feel like I have a certain obligation to the people that are watching me. But again, it's not a thought that I don't know how to explain it. It's just like this like outside force that kind of pushes me to do things. I think like I'm not 100% sure if I would have done a marathon if I didn't have a YouTube channel. But at the same time, like I don't know though, because I've had a YouTube channel for so many years now, and I pretty much started my channel right when I started working out. Like it was like, you know, right when I was starting to go to the gym. Yeah. And so like my fitness and YouTube has been intertwined from the start. So I don't know how important it is. I would say there's definitely an aspect that it helps me do things outside of my comfort zone. Like I'm not sure if I would have done the men's physique show if I didn't have a channel. Yeah. I'm not sure. I feel like I probably would have done CrossFit just because of how much I enjoy it, but who knows? Like I don't know. Yeah. So that's an interesting topic that I've never really thought about too much.
I mean, but I do know that like, okay, so with YouTube culture, burnout is a very common phrase that's used all the time. And it when you have an algorithm based system that favors constantly creating content, you feel the pressure to feed that, whatever it is, you know, like even if you're at work and your boss cares about results more than, hey, like let's slow down and make sure what we're doing is right. If they hate that and instead they reserve like, is that done? Is that done? Is that done? Same thing. You become so focused on the deadline that you forget about the process of actually doing it. And then that's when things slip through the cracks, and then that's when you have like in construction jobs or in engineering jobs or whatever, like there's a critical failure and a couple people die, you know, because they're so focused on hitting the numbers versus, hey, is everything we're doing like good? And so I think I think that you on your YouTube channel have gone through phases of burnout because you were so focused on what everyone else was worried about. And I feel like now you've kind of come to a point where it's like, this is the content I enjoy creating. And so I think that there is an element of maybe, you're feeding the machine. Like I need to make sure I do this marathon because I already said I was going to or whatever. But then it's also like, you're at a point now where your YouTube channel reflects your interests. So you're not like doing things for the sake of people, but you're doing it because you're interested and people are interested as well. Yeah. And so they're going along on the journey. But like you said, your YouTube channel has existed as long as you've done fitness. So can you remove one from the other? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting topic because I even get comments on like, say Instagram of like people like, would you even work out if you didn't have Instagram to post on? And I'm like, I think I would. Yeah. But like, Instagram has existed.
I would not. I'm just kidding.
I would ask. Like I really do think I would though. Like without a doubt. There's more times that I'm at the gym and don't post it than I do. Yeah. Like really.
Same.
And so.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
definitely me too. I definitely worked out today and didn't post anything.
No, I did.
But yeah, that is an interesting, you know, kind of way to look at things. But then, so, you know, with the training, it honestly went pretty well. You know, I would, with the training, it was always, you know, shorter distance runs sprinkled throughout the week, a long run. Started with 8 miles, and then we went to 12 miles, 14, and then the longest I actually got up to was 16 miles, which I wish actually got a little bit longer. But again, I was dealing with a little bit of foot things every once in a while, so I just kind of had to, sometimes like I wanted to do a long run, but I knew I shouldn't, so I had to skip that week. And then I usually wouldn't skip it, but I had to push it to Monday or something like that, you know? Yeah. So the longest run I got to was 16 miles, but I actually did that 2 times, and I felt relatively okay. The last one was really tough because I did a simple like out and back, and it was just really boring. Yeah. And I remember thinking to myself, man, I'm gonna have to run 10 more miles after how I felt there. Yeah. And that was kind of scary. I was pretty confident that I would feel better, but We'll talk about that too on the day of the marathon. But yeah, so like I kind of wanted, so that was kind of how the training went. You know, there was ups and downs. It was a lot of hours spent by myself running, which was interesting. I didn't realize how much of a time commitment it was, but how selfish kind of a thing it is, especially when like, you know, you're with people that aren't necessarily wanting to run 8 miles with you, which is understandable. Like I get that 100%. So, you know, it was like, I went on a couple runs with Sharissa, you know, and they'd be like 4 mile, 5 mile runs, but you know, she's not going to sit there and run 12 miles with me. So, you know, on Saturday morning, I'm by myself for 2-3 hours just running, not really responding to anybody. So it was interesting. It was definitely a lot more work. It was a lot more work than I thought it was going to be. And that sounds arrogant, and it 100% was. Because I did not give credit to long distance running like I should have. Because I thought, oh, I'm pretty fit, like I can handle this. Yeah. It's just a marathon, which sounds ridiculous to me now that I've completed it. Yeah. But at the time, I had the longest I ran was 6 miles before that? So I had no idea what I was getting myself into. But yeah, so the training was up and down. It was interesting. There was a lot. I learned a lot, and I'm glad that I did it. The training was actually really fun. Like I am somebody that enjoys training. Yeah. And so for me, like the marathon, you know, spoilers, but the marathon didn't go as great as I had wanted it to. But like I'm not really that upset about that because the training for it taught me a lot about myself, and like that's fine with me. Yeah. Because I think there's some people that they're focused on how the marathon goes, which is good. That's fine. And the training is just like a necessary evil to get to the marathon day and feel like that you can perform. Yeah. For me, the training isn't a necessary evil. The training is the fun part, and it's like enjoyable. The marathon is fun too, but it's like, say like, you know, the training is the cake, and then the marathon is the icing on top of it. Like I enjoy it all. So for me, it was a fun experience. But, you know, come race day. Yeah, let's talk about race day. Yeah, so let's talk about race day. So race day, it was yesterday, and I ended up waking up at 3:30 a.m. I was supposed to wake up at 4, but I woke up at 3:30, and I was like, well, I'm not going to go back to sleep. And I was honestly like afraid of sleeping through my alarm anyway. So I was like, okay, well, we're awake. Let's just get the day started, right? So I showered, whatever, had my coffee, and I was really worried about not being able to go to the bathroom because when you're waking up way earlier than normal, you're not going to the bathroom. And
I was there watching and was worried that I wasn't going to be able to go to the bathroom. Because I was going to be outside just waiting for you. Yeah, so
which I can't believe you guys did that. It was awesome. But yeah, that was my main fear. The morning of the marathon was making sure I was able to go to the bathroom. I was able to, which was good. I actually started taking magnesium a few weeks before. Just to like take it at night, and then when I wake up I was like had to go right away. So I started doing that. It worked perfectly. So you know, I was able to go to the bathroom a couple times. Sharissa came and she was able to drive me to the marathon and drop me off. So I got there at like the race start was 6:15. So I learned a couple things. So the race start was 6:15, but I was in the corral 19. So there's basically 18 starts before I actually start. They're staggered by like a minute or two. So next time I do a marathon, I'm just going to lie about how fast I am so I can start earlier. I'm just like, I'm planning on finishing in 3 hours. Yeah. Because then you can start at corral 5 instead of corral 19. Yeah. Because I didn't end up starting until 7 o'clock almost. So I got there way earlier than I needed to. I decided to go to the bathroom again just to make sure, but the line was 20 minutes long. Not even exaggerating. It was the longest I've ever waited. Wow. But I was like, I would rather be safe. And even though I went and like I got there early, I went to the bathroom, I still had to wait like 30 minutes. And I'm just standing. So like that was tough. I was not expecting that. I was like it was more like 45 minutes actually. Like before the marathon started, I was already standing up for an hour straight. Yeah. And then so I actually didn't even stretch that much because I was so nervous and like I just wanted to be ready, you know. And then so I'm just standing in this huge corral. I actually was like, as the marathon officially started, I was still in line for the bathroom. Yeah. Because like it just didn't matter. I realized I was like, well, I'm not even going to start for a while. And then even though I was like started hurrying, I didn't even need to because I didn't start for another 45 minutes. Yeah. So that was interesting. And I learned a lot from that. But then finally I was able to start. One thing I was worried about being like super cold. So I brought a jacket with me and I just ended up like putting on a trash can. Basically like that's what people do, I guess, is like if it's going to be cold, you kind of bring a jacket to wear before and then you just kind of put it somewhere and they have like they collect them and then they donate them. Yeah. So I did that. that was a smart move, so I wasn't freezing, because I saw some girls like wearing like sports bras already, and they were just like shivering. And I was like, I'm glad that's not me.
Yeah.
But then so the race finally started.
I'm really glad you didn't wear a sports bra.
Yeah.
Too.
Well, I did wear a sports bra. It was under my shirt.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
okay.
But the marathon finally started, and this is it's an interesting story. So it finally started, and I was feeling really good. So this was the first time I had ever really ran with any sort of group of people. The most people I'd ran with was one, it was Charissa. You know, so it was invigorating. It was so awesome. Like, it was really like the first few miles felt pretty good, except for actually mile 2, I started cramping pretty bad because I drank water at mile 2, and then like right after that, I started cramping, which that was like actually kind of scary. Yeah, because I was like, am I gonna feel like this for the rest of the marathon? But I again, that's why training runs are so important, because that had happened a couple times and it would go away after about a mile. That's exactly what happened. Yeah. So that was able to go away. So, but I was running way too fast. Like, in my goal in my head, arbitrary number that I set for myself was like, I would love to finish like under 5 hours. And so I tracked that. That would have been 11:26 a mile. If if every mile is exactly the same, 11:26. So I was thinking, okay, when I start, I'll probably maybe be running a little bit faster. You know, everyone says you usually do. It's just normal. Yeah. The adrenaline, you're so ready. So I was like, if I'm running 11-minute miles, I don't think that's a big deal. I started off running like 10-minute miles.
For a few miles.
For most of the first half marathon. Yeah. Like, the slowest mile I had before the half, I think, was like 10:41 or something like that before the half marathon. I ended up PRing my half marathon during the marathon. Yeah. But so the first few miles felt really good. I mean, it was because the marathon that I ran, I think it's at 8 miles. It splits half marathon to marathon, or maybe 9. I forget exactly. But, you know, so when you're with everybody, I mean, there's so many people. There's about 4 times as many people running the half marathon as there are the marathon. Wow. So I think there was like not even 3,000 people running the marathon, and there was like over 12,000 people running the half. Wow. So there's so many people that you're running with, and it's like, wow, this is super cool. Yeah. But then it split at 8 miles. I was like, oh. Yeah. Okay, like, this is where it's kind of, you know, had like split, and like there was a lot less people, but that was fine with me. I still was feeling really good. We end up, you know, I'm running again. Like, I was really proud that I was able to continue eating. I made sure I continued eating. I made sure I drank as much water as I could, electrolytes and stuff like that. Like, I was really trying to replicate my training runs in the marathon. Like, I tried to eat around the same times that I would on my 16-mile run, you know, try to drink as much water. I'm not sure if this was a bad idea, but normally I wear a Camelback when I'd run my long runs. Yeah. But because I knew there were so many water stations, I just didn't feel like it was necessary. So I didn't have one of those. I'm not sure if that was a big deal. But, you know, I would try and get like 2, pretty much like at every aid station, I would try and get 2 waters and 1 electrolyte drink, and not always finish the electrolyte drink, because I felt like I was getting too much on my training run sometimes, to where I would get like really thirsty because of the amount of salt in them. Yeah. I don't know if that was right or wrong, but, you know, I was really trying to focus on that and make sure that that was, because it's really easy to just lose track of that and just continue running, you know, because you have to kind of slow down to get the water, and it's kind of a hassle. But, you know, I tried to maintain all that, and I was feeling like, seriously, I felt amazing. Like, I was, you know, mile 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like, I felt great. 7, 8, 9 felt great. 10, 11 felt great. 12 felt pretty good. 13 felt fine. But then once I got to like mile 14, I ended up calling Charissa, and like, because I knew you guys were, I think by then we had already just established that you guys were going to be at the 17-mile marker. Yeah. But then I called just to make sure. I'm like, where are you? You know, like, as far as, it was fun. So we talked for a little bit. I found out where you guys would be. And then literally during that call is when I was like, oh, I'm not feeling as good as I was before. And then I literally was like, okay, that's where you're going to be. Okay, bye, love you. Like, just super fast, because I was like, I don't feel good and I need to focus on this run. Yeah. And so from mile 14 to before I saw you guys, it was just a little bit of a slow decline. Like, I was like, I'm not feeling very good. But mile like 16 to about 17 I noticed that I was like really pushing harder than I should have been. Because in my head, I was like, I would love to not walk at all, or at least not walk until, so there's a huge hill at like mile 21, 22, I think, that's like 2 miles long. And in my head, I was like, I'm probably going to have to walk that. I would love to like not have to walk until I get there. Yeah. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'm going to continue running. And then like I was trying to pick up the pace to get to you guys because I just wanted to see you guys.
Yeah.
And so for like mile 16 and like, you know, first half of mile 17, because you guys were like 17.3 or something like that, I was feeling really bad and just like really wanted to stop running, but I kept being like, no, you can't stop running, you have to keep going, you need to keep going, like you're gonna see them and you're gonna feel great after you see them. Like that was in my mindset, like once I see them I'm gonna feel amazing. But when I saw you guys, I just stopped and I was like, I gave Sharissa a hug, and that was the lowest part of the marathon, I would say.
Yeah.
Like after, like right when I saw you guys and afterwards.
Okay, and we are back. So where we left off, you were talking about just meeting us at mile 17, and you were feeling like big poo-poo when you were going. So what was going through your mind? You just wanted to reach us. You finally reach us.
Yeah, I was just like excited to see you guys, and I know that Sharissa said she was like surprised at how I looked because I had been doing like Instagram lives and stuff like during the run when I was feeling good and I was like in high spirits, like, hey, I'm feeling great. Like I even did one all the way up to the like after I got past the half marathon point, and I was still feeling good. So you guys were expecting me apparently to like be in a better shape, which I was too. But when I saw you guys, yeah, I was in.
You were like depleted. Like if someone like. Kind of like, you know, when you take gas out of a tire, you like push the button and the air flows out and then it's a little like flat. That was literally how you looked. Like you just looked like, we were like, woo, so excited. Had signs made and everything. He like ran up to us and then you just like, we're just like, I was like, oh dang, he's feeling it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it was like frustrating for me. Like looking back, it's because you guys were waiting for so long, and I was like, I was excited to see you, but I had no energy to show it. Like there was nothing left. So it ended up, I had been running until I saw you guys, and then I saw you guys. I stopped for like a second, and then I continued running. But then you guys like walked across the field because I had to turn a corner, and then I saw you guys again. I kind of filmed it a little bit, and after that, that's when it was like downhill bad. Like I can't even explain how, because I said bye to you guys and then Sharissa was like, remember, you just want to finish, that's all you care about. But again, like at this point I'm like, I really wanted to get under 5 hours, you know? And I was kind of coming to terms with that's probably not going to happen. You know, I had just started walking, but I'm like, there, with how I feel right now, I might have to walk the rest of this marathon, and there was still 8 miles left. And I did not have enough time banked to walk and still finish in that, you know, that time. So it was like, that was frustrating, but not really. Like I didn't really care that much, but it was the thought of I'm going to have to walk 8 miles before I can stop was like, that's not a fun feeling with how I felt. And so actually, after I was walking for a little bit, you know, there were some aid stations. I got some water. I had like a bite of a banana, but it was like, it felt like the sweetest thing ever. Like I didn't eat the rest of it. I was like, ugh, couldn't finish that. So I drank some electrolyte stuff. And luckily, I'm not sure how much this helped, but I actually had some ibuprofen with me.
Did you have any gels?
Yeah, I had gels. That was like the stuff that I was taking. Like I was trying to take that as normal as possible. So I had a couple gels. They were giving them out as well. So I took like a bunch and just put them in my pockets just in case. And but I ended up, I ate a little bit of a banana, and then I took some ibuprofen, which I had with me, you know, just from like watching videos. People like, you never know what's gonna happen, you know, if you start like feeling really sore or whatever, or like sick, and like my hamstrings were just like cramping or like tightening up. I wouldn't say cramping, but they like, I was like when I started walking, because the first mile, or I would say like first half mile of the walk, maybe even a little bit longer, was bad. It was like a death march. It was what it felt like. Like really, really bad. Like I was stopping every so often and like just like leaning over trying to stretch my hamstrings because they felt like just rocks. And same with my calves. And so like that's the feeling I felt like I was going to feel for the next 8 miles, and that was horrifying. Like I felt like I would finish and maybe finish before the 7 hours, because like 7 hours was the time cap kind of. But even then I was like, I don't know. Like this is horrible. And so I took the ibuprofen. I continued, anytime I'd see water, I would try and drink it. And after about maybe 20 minutes, I ended up calling Sharissa. And I was just like saying, maybe not even 20 minutes, maybe 15. I just was like saying, thank you for coming. You know, I just basically telling her how I was feeling, because I just wanted to talk to somebody. Like honestly was what it was. I just wanted to talk to somebody because I just was like, well, at this time I was alone for 3 hours really, probably by then. And so I just wanted to talk to her. And then through talking to her, I think like everything started like rejuvenating and I started feeling normal. Like they talk about the wall, and I think that's exactly what happened. I think that's what I hit. I'm not sure what I did. Well, I mean, I know for a fact I ran too fast at the start. Like that's without a doubt.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if it was in mixture with maybe not eating enough, or it might just literally be that I just ran too fast.
Yeah.
And my body has never, on a long run, the fastest I would usually go was maybe 11 minutes a mile. And I was going a lot faster than that, and I was running longer than I ever had.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm assuming that's probably what it was.
Because your fastest training run was 16 miles?
My longest one, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Your longest one?
My longest one, yeah.
And so then it makes sense that...
That's where I kind of fell apart. Yeah. I mean, it does 100% make sense.
Yeah.
Especially considering how fast I was going before that. So I'm curious if I would have paced it better, if it would have gone, like how much better it could have been.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I would have paced it great, if I would have hit a wall. Like that's the thing is like, I wonder if I would have paced it well and I still hit a wall, would my time have been much better?
Yeah.
Or what, you know what I mean? Because I would have gotten to mile 17 a lot slower if I had paced it more.
Yeah.
But what if I hit a wall anyways? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. But I'm assuming, without a doubt, I ran too fast. Like that's, I'm not trying to argue that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so after I was talking on the phone with Sharissa for a while, I actually ended up like seeing a guy, and I was talking to Sharissa, and the guy thought I was talking to him, so he looked back, and then we kind of started talking, and then like I just started feeling better. Every step, I just kind of started feeling better. It was like maybe 30 minutes had passed since like basically the breakdown.
Yeah.
And now I'm like closer to, I would say I'm closer to mile like 20 now, after, walking, because I started walking at like 17 and a half miles. And then maybe so it was about a mile and a half that I was walking. By mile 20, I was feeling a lot better. And then so I was able to start running again. And I could not, I can't explain enough the difference from how terrible I felt to how much better I felt. It's hard to explain.
Yeah.
Like it really is hard to explain. Like the amount of despair I felt like I was feeling at my lowest versus how I was able to get out of it. Like it really has shown me a lot, like how much your body really is capable of, and like how just a little bit of rest or just like pulling back a little bit can really make you feel immensely better. I don't even know how to explain it. Like I really, really don't. So I was able, and like the thought of even running, like the thought of even trying to walk kind of fast was mortifying at, 17 and a half miles.
Yeah.
Like I was walking and it was hard to keep a 20-minute mile pace.
Yeah.
And then, fast forward to not long after I was running again,
Yeah.
So I started running and then I was able, I ran for like 2 miles straight after that. And then I got to the hill, which I knew that I was going to walk at this point. And now my mentality and my mindset had completely shifted from I'm trying to get under 5 hours to now I'm just like, I would love to have a okay time, I mean, okay for what I've been through, but I want to enjoy this experience. I want to have fun.
Yeah.
And the marathon was so much more fun after that. Because I got to, because it was basically, we were running on the freeway. So you kind of went down an on-ramp and then you were running up the freeway for about 2 miles, give or take a little bit. And I told myself, like, I know once it starts getting kind of steep, I'm going to walk, but I'm going to walk fast. And like how fast I was walking up this hill was so much faster than how I was walking when I was walking on flat ground when I was feeling terrible.
Yeah.
Like I was really able, and there was like bands on the side of the road. There's even like a band on like a bridge and stuff. And I was able to be like, yeah, like, and I was just having a good time.
Yeah.
And everyone else I was like passing, you could just tell felt terrible, which I know exactly how they felt.
Yeah.
But it was nice being able to be like, feeling good at that point.
Yeah.
And so, through those miles, I was just walking, getting through it, just enjoying. There'd be like little parts where it wouldn't be as steep, so I'd run a little bit. But then I got to about a little bit after mile 25 is when you're no longer on the freeway and now you're running through the streets again. And at this point, I was like, okay, I'm going to run. And then so I pretty much ran the rest of the marathon. And I ended up coming across the finish line at like 5 hours, I think it was 5 hours, 25 minutes and like 41 seconds or something like that. So definitely not hitting my goal.
Yeah.
But the fact that I was only 25 minutes past, my goal was already ambitious. So even if everything went right, I'm not sure if I would have hit that. Like seriously, I'm not sure. So the fact that I had such a huge meltdown and like they call it bonking or hitting the wall, and still was able to pick myself up and continue and finish, but not finish that terribly behind my, my goal that I had set for myself.
Yeah.
Like I'm really, really happy with that. And so then, after the marathon was over, I got my medal and stuff, drank some water. We like hung out for a while. We went down to the little marathon, like they had like a little, I don't even know what to call it, like after party thing.
Yeah.
I don't even know. And that was fun. We walked around there for a while, but then after a while I was like, okay, I want to go home now. I wanted to shower because I smelled really bad.
Really bad.
Yeah, it was bad. I think it was like a mixture of, it's just, I'm not normally, like I sweat a lot for sure, but normally it's not smelly, but I think it's because sweating, drying. It was just like, especially because I walked for a while, so like all the sweat dried pretty much.
Yeah.
And then it's re-sweating over that. It was bad. It was I was ready. But I cannot believe how like locked up my hamstrings were. Because when I got done with the marathon, I put my Crocs on, right? And I put my shoes on the ground, and then I went down to grab them. I could not, like, I barely could bend down.
Yeah.
And that was scary. I was like, am I going to feel like this forever?
Yeah.
And they actually, luckily at that little after party thing, or it was like a block party, it felt like, they had like Theragun. So like I massaged my hamstrings and my calves. And I actually think that was actually a really helpful thing to do.
Yeah.
Because once I got home and showered and stuff, like I felt way better. Way better. And we ended up getting Chipotle, and it was great. And we watched Star Wars. And
it was a good time.
That's pretty much, that's the whole marathon day. And then as far as like today, we kind of talked about it, but like none of my muscles are really sore, which I can't believe. Like I was way more sore after doing Murph than I was after running this marathon.
Which you did in the same week.
Yeah, which I did in the same week, which was not smart. You got to do what you got to do. But yeah, so I can't believe, like the only thing is like, I think the top of my right foot, my shoes might have been a little bit tighter than I realized, because I think like the top of my right foot might be a little bruised. But that's it. That's literally all. And there's no blisters. I don't have any blisters, nothing. So I'm very, very happy with that.
And you told me before the podcast that you would have worked out today.
Yeah, I would have done something if I wasn't, like, if my foot bruised. Like, I think tomorrow, no matter what, I'm going to do something. So if that means I just have to row or bike, whatever, because I feel like my body feels fine. And like, as far as like my muscles and stuff like that are concerned, I feel fine. So I'm very surprised with that. Very surprised.
Okay, so now I got a couple questions.
Let's do it.
First question. How much do you feel like CrossFit helped you in the marathon? Or do you feel like they're completely different stimuluses? Yeah,
that's a good question. I would say for me, because I think that this could be different for anybody, for me, it helped me immensely. Mainly the mental stuff. Just like even giving me the confidence to try.
Yeah.
Because like I don't think if I did CrossFit, if I went straight from bodybuilding to try to do a marathon, I think I would have died. Like mentally, I would have fallen apart, and then physically, like CrossFit has really, like my cardiovascular system is so much better just from doing CrossFit than it was from doing bodybuilding. So I really do think it's helped, and like helped me like be able to like push through like mental barriers, but then like not being afraid to try new things. I think that's one of the biggest things that CrossFit has kind of instilled in me.
Okay. How is it? So now you have done a marathon and you've done a bodybuilding show, and you talked about the selfishness between both of them. Which one is more selfish?
That's a good question. I would say they're both,
because Sharissa and I were talking about it while we were waiting for you in the marathon.
They're both selfish in different ways, but let's kind of unpack it, and then I'll have an answer for you. So when it comes to bodybuilding, right, the bodybuilding show, it's very selfish in the fact that you have to be very meticulous with your diet. So if you're like with, a significant other, boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, husband, whatever it is, if you want to go out to eat, if you're doing a bodybuilding show, most of the time you have to kind of say no. Yeah. And you have to, like, you just can't do it. And so like that, I think that's where the most of the selfishness comes in, is like you have to spend a lot of time cooking. You have to spend a lot of time eating on your own. Like if you do go out, it's like you have to bring your own food with you, or you can find things, but it's a lot more difficult. And for me, when I was doing the show, it just wasn't worth the stress. Like I would get so stressed out. And on top of that, you do spend a good amount of time in the gym, but it wasn't really that much different from already the amount of time I was spending. Yeah. It just, like, the cardio started getting a little bit more. Like, instead of doing maybe 30 minutes, I was working up to maybe an hour. Yeah. But it was mainly selfish because of the calories are so low that you have to be very smart with what you eat, so you don't want to go out to eat all the time. And then on top of that, your mood is just my mood. I don't want to speak for everybody, but my mood was all over the place. All over the place. It was very hard to be around me, I would say. And so that's like where the selfishness from bodybuilding comes in. With marathon, it's almost like the exact opposite, because when it comes to eating, you can eat, like I was able to eat a lot more. So I didn't care. Like I could go out to eat way more than before. Because of how much I was running. Like it wasn't an issue. Like that part of it was not an issue. Where the selfishness comes in is more, one, like the prep for runs. So like making sure I'm stretching, making sure I'm rolling out after a run. You know, you're running for 3 hours and then it's like, okay, well I need 20 minutes to roll out again still, you know, like it's not like I'm done. Now let's do something. So, but then on top of that, all of the runs I'm doing them mostly by myself, because again, like one, Sharissa, like her knees, like running for her isn't the best right now. So she can't really run with me that much, which I'm sure she would have done more if she could, but she couldn't. So it was like, okay, I'm going to be gone for like minimum was 40 minutes. But I mean, even then it was usually more, because after the run I'd roll out, you know what I mean? So minimum was basically an hour, and then it just went up from there. So an hour, 2 hour, 3 hours, and then sometimes like closer to 4 hours on the Saturday morning long runs, you know? And so during that time, it's like I'm not texting anybody, I'm not calling anybody back, because I'm focused on the run. And so that's where the selfishness for me came in on the running. And so it's hard to really pick. They're just selfish for different reasons. So I don't really have an answer for that. It's just
I mean, I feel like when you're marathon training, you can have a somewhat social life outside of your training. Whereas like bodybuilding, I feel like your social life goes down the social aspect of bodybuilding is much, you are restricted like much
competitive
more.
Bodybuilding. So
if you're just going to the gym,
if you're just going to the gym, hypertrophy training, right? That's why I don't like calling it bodybuilding training. But if you're just doing like hypertrophy based regular gym workout, you know, biceps, triceps, chest, back kind of thing, it's not an issue. But if you're dieting down it's mainly just the dieting down. Because if you're not dieting down for a show and you're bulking, you can do whatever you want, really, you know? I mean, you probably shouldn't, but you know, people do, right? So for me, it was, being, you know, 12 weeks out, 10 weeks out, 8 weeks out, I had to be, every week was restrict more. And so it became, and then on top of, once you're restricting more and upping the cardio, your mood is getting worse and worse until it's compounding, and, you know, it's a lot. It really is a lot. Like, I have respect for every type of fitness. Bodybuilding is no joke. It is, like, if you're doing it competitively, you are making a lot of sacrifices. And with all of this training, from bodybuilding to CrossFit to marathon, it's shown me that no matter what type of training, if you're taking it seriously and putting in the time, there's sacrifices that have to be made with everything you're doing. So it's really, that's why I feel very lucky that I've been able to try all these different, you know, avenues of fitness. And I truly have found enjoyment in every single one. Like I still love, like I'm excited to start doing my bodybuilding stuff a little bit again. I'm going to find a way to try and mix everything, I think, because I still want to run a little bit. I might eventually maybe say train for another marathon or train for something else. But like right now, I'm just going to maybe run 10 miles a week. Something, you know, nothing crazy. Like, but I still want to put that in there because I truly enjoy it. Especially with like the runs that aren't taking me 3 hours to do. It's really fun. Same thing with CrossFit. Like I that's like my preferred method, right? Like obviously I really, really enjoy that. So I'm going to find a way to have that in there. And then with the bodybuilding, that was my first love, and I still find enjoyment in that. And so everything that I've done, I've legit found enjoyment and had fun with it, and found that there are so many like sacrifices you have to make. So
it's almost like if fitness is one of those things that if you're going to do it right, you got to be selfish. To some degree. Not right, but like
if you're going to take it seriously and
someone else working out does not benefit you. The only way to benefit yourself in health is by you taking the steps and actions, right? Like like there's no like, you know, whatever it's called, osteoporosis or whatever. Like that's not it. That's
osmosis.
Osmosis. Osteoporosis is a bent spine.
That's no, that's like your bones are messed up.
Oh, yeah. Whatever. Scoliosis is a bent spine.
Yeah.
I don't know. What are words? Health? But like
Those osis words are getting you, bro.
Osmosis.
Yeah.
You don't catch the fitness.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because someone else has the bug and now you have it. Like, you have to do the work yourself. And so there is an element of being selfish no matter what. Mm-hmm. But then it's when you try to do the extreme of the thing. Like, you can be a runner and not be selfish.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can be a CrossFitter and not be selfish. You can be a bodybuilder and not be selfish. But to hit the next level, that's where sacrifice comes from. Mm-hmm. Okay, next question. Did you ever encounter the runner's high? Or did you just hit the wall? Like the second, not just a second wind, but the runner's high.
Yeah. I would say during the first part, I was feeling it. Like, just feeling.
I've never felt it, but I've also never run long enough to have it.
Yeah. I was feeling like really good, but I would say after I came back from the low point was when I was like, what the heck is going on?
Because
how do I feel this
so good?
Like, I felt fine. Mm-hmm. Like, I felt like that never happened.
Yeah.
Like, I truly, when I was walking up that hill, right? Like, after I had ran again, after not being able to, like, barely being able to walk for a mile, to running the next 2 miles, to walking up this steep hill that I was, for the most of the marathon, I was like, kind of not dreading, but I was like, that's going to be hard, right? Yeah. To like, once I got to it, I crushed it. Like, not that I was going faster than a ton of people, but I, like, mentally, I felt fine. Like, I wasn't even like, I was just like, cool, man, this is, I can't wait till I'm done with this. Then it's like home stretch. I felt like that's when the runner's high hit me. And I wasn't even running for a lot of it, but it was like that mentality of it just didn't matter anymore. Like, it's like, I've been running for 4 hours now, but like, who cares? Yeah. It just was like, okay, let's like get this done. Let's like cruise through this. Like, it's not, but yeah, I mean, it's funny that you ask it like that, like not believing that it's true, because I 100% felt the same way. Yeah.
But all I'm saying is I did a 5K once, okay? Mm-hmm. And I ran with someone else. The other person wore a weight vest. I did not. They crushed me. I lost them. And like at the end of the 5K, I'm like, glad that one's done. Like there was never a point where I'm like, oh, I feel better now. It was like as it continually went, I continually felt worse. But I understand it probably wasn't long enough to feel that.
Yeah. I mean, who knows, right? I don't know exactly how long it would take or if there's like a certain distance, but I think a big part of it too is like for you're the same position that I was, is like every run is like you're trying to push yourself to be faster. With marathon training, with like long distance running, it's all about pulling back. Literally the opposite of what I did. But what you should do, pull back at the start, feel like you're going too slow. That's what everyone says. When you're in a marathon, if you feel like you're going too slow at the start, you're going the right pace. I knew I was going too fast. Like I literally said it in my video, I am going too fast right now, but we'll see what happens. Yeah. We saw what happened. It was terrible, you know? But you live and you learn. Like I had to have that. But yeah, I would say for you, it's like, you need to like if you wanted to experience it, which I don't think you really do, but like if you wanted to, like, or anybody that's like, I want to run a longer distance, but I feel like 2 miles, it's like, that's all I have. Mm-hmm. Run slower. It sounds silly, but you need to run slower so you can run longer. Yeah. And then that's when I felt my first, like, I would say runner's high. Yeah. I would say like during training too, I wouldn't be surprised if I felt it at points, but not to that level. Yeah. Like there would be times where I'd be like, man, this mile feels terrible. And the next mile I felt a lot better for some reason. Like say on like a 14-mile run. But this one, it was like, I can't even explain how different. It was like, it felt like there was months in between the miles, like of how different I felt.
Okay. Last question. Without committing to anything, what's next?
Yeah, I don't really know. I'm just going to be honest. Like, I think my next challenge would be fun to do like trail running, but I'm not going to jump into like a trail running marathon. Like do like maybe first one will be like a 10K trail run.
You're kind of thinking about the Ultimate Hawaiian, right?
Yeah, something like that's one that's in Hawaii, which will be cool because I've never been to Hawaii. Yeah. But like, yeah, I don't really know yet. And I just have to kind of figure something out. I don't think I'll ever do like a bodybuilding show again just because of the mental stuff with food and struggles with that body dysmorphia stuff. Like I just don't want to go there.
Yeah.
I think the next, like any challenge I do would be like some sort of physical thing. Like the thing that does kind of interest me because I'm so terrible at it is like doing some sort of a triathlon because of how bad I am at swimming.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like those bikes, man, are so expensive. They're thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And so if I decide to do that, I would have to be like really wanting to do it. Cause like if I'm going to spend that much money on a bike just to, you know, if it's like ends up being for one race and then I'm like, okay, I'm done. You know, I don't know if I want to do that. That's why running was nice. Cause it's relatively cheap to start, like get some running shoes. That's really all you need to start. But yeah, I think that would be interesting. But I think realistically, like some sort of trail run would be fun because it is fun to run on the trails.
Yeah.
The views are really nice and it's a lot easier on your body. So.
Yeah. Cool. Well, there we go. That was a good rundown of the marathon.
Yeah. I mean, obviously I'm assuming most of the people that listen to this have like seen the recap video or seen the post that I put on Instagram, but I kind of wanted to just do this because I wanted to have somewhere where for it, honestly, it's kind of selfishly for me to be able to look back on because I have a podcast with Brian before we ever had our podcast. Like it was like literally the day before my physique show, and I listened to it not that long ago, and it's just interesting
to hear your mindset.
Yeah, to hear the mindset, and so I just wanted to really have one place where I was able to explain everything from the start to the finish, and hopefully, you know, this inspires some people. It's been crazy, like having people, like I've gotten so many messages of people saying like you've inspired me to start running, and I can say without a doubt that was not my intention when I started this.
Yeah,
like it might sound bad, but I just did it because I wanted to challenge myself. It wasn't because like, oh, I don't really think in terms of like I need to inspire other people. It's really just like I want to challenge myself because I like doing that.
Yeah.
And so it's been really interesting. Like people are saying like, you've inspired me to start running just at all, like a mile, or like I just did my first 5K because of the training I've been watching you do.
Yeah.
Or like I signed up for a half marathon, or even some people like I'm doing a marathon.
Yeah.
And that's cool.
That's cool.
Like I had no intentions of doing that. And so anyone that's messaged me, I really appreciate it. And I think that's really cool. And I'm excited to see what people are able to do because it really, doing stuff like this, like challenge yourself physically, it's not even just the physical challenge, it's more the mental challenge. I truly believe that if there's nothing that you're pushing for, like pushing for stuff like this really makes you a better person. I truly believe that. It makes you a more well-rounded person. And I think that's why I enjoy doing it, because I really do like having that challenge and because like if I'm not focused on something, I will go crazy. Yeah. If it's just like, I just kind of want to get better at this, or like it's not, there's no goal, I just go insane. Like I literally bought and went and made a skateboard, you know, like built a complete deck. Not saying that I'm going to get into skateboarding, but it was like, that'd be something to maybe get into again. Yeah. Like, because I was like, I knew that once I was done with the marathon, there was going to be a void there. Yeah. That I wanted to kind of fill. So I'm not saying I'm going to get into skateboarding, but that's why I'm sure that's a part of it. You know, why I bought the board was because I was like, I need something. Like it's just, and it might sound like kind of crazy and it might sound obsessive, but I really think it makes me a better person and it makes me not go crazy having these little goals to chase. So, or big goals like a marathon, you know?
For sure. Well, that's episode 32. Hope you guys enjoy it. Be sure to leave a like, leave a review, leave all that fun stuff. And be sure to comment on the YouTube video. We can talk about it, continue the conversation. It doesn't have to end here. Yep. But until then, till next time, thanks for watching or listening. Peace.
See you guys later.